So Sean's tweets, San Antonio Spurs All-Star Victor Wembanyama is expected to miss the remainder of the season with a deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder? That's scary. People thought a lower body injury would take down the 7-footer, but blood clots? That forced Chris Bosh to retire. But new details have come out. Wemby was feeling sluggish ever since the Spurs returned from Paris where they played the Pacers. His stats are still good, but he's overall less effective. Down a full block per game, which is a ton, and his plus minus has swung 5 full points from positive 3.2 to negative 2.1. So doctors found a blood clot in a vein deep inside his body, specifically his right shoulder. Now, if that goes unchecked, the blood clot could break free and travel to a vital organ to kill him. And 4 players recently have had blood clots. Oscar Thompson and Brandon Ingram had their seasons end early. Christian Coloco missed a full year, and Chris Bosh had to retire. That is how serious this can be. Now for Bosh, it was a chronic issue, but the closest comp to Wemby is BI. He also had a deep vein clot in his right shoulder back in 2019. That shut him down for the year, but we haven't even heard of it since. Literally had 0 impact on the rest of his career. I mean, even Michael Jordan missed his 2nd season with a foot injury, so the Spurs are optimistic. So if that's Wemby, yes, it is scary, but not career-threatening. But actually scary is what this means for the Spurs' future. What are they gonna do in the NBA draft? Because luckily, when they traded picks and players for De'Aaron Fox at the deadline, they happened to keep their 2025 first-round pick. What if this leads to another top 5 guy playing with Wemby? What about a top 1 guy? How realistic is it that San Antonio gets that high in the draft? But finally, NBA games are back. I have missed games and playing underdog while I'm watching those games because I just put a little bit of money down on Pick'em, where I pick higher or lower for whatever games I'm gonna watch, whatever players I'm rooting for, and you win a little money, a lot of money with their game streaks. If you get 11 in a row, you could 1,000x your cash. But for me, it's all about having fun, and I do every single night with underdog. So here are my 2 picks. First up is John Collins, higher on his rebounds, and then Spida Mitchell, higher on his assists. And best of luck if you were tailing those picks. By the way, check out this map to see if underdog's available in your area. So many states, including Texas, California, or Florida with champions. Please, if it's your first time signing up, nothing helps the channel more than using code AMHOOPS. You get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special free pick. We would all love to see Cooper Flag with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. I mean, you know, unless your team plays them in the finals. But how could that actually happen? Well, the first impact is Defensive Player of the Year this season. Before the news, Wemby was a minus 2,000 favorite. He had this award locked. The days of Rudy Gobert winning are over. But because of the new 65 game rule, Wemby is out. So now, Triple J and Evan Mobley are neck and neck, and the winner gets tens of millions of dollars. Why? Because it turns out Mobley signed a contract where if he gets All-NBA or Defensive Player of the Year, his deal goes from $224 million to $269 million bucks. The same is true for Triple J. So if anybody was actually happy about this injury, it was those guys. Which is kind of messed up, but maybe for $45 million bucks, I kind of get it. The next impact, though, before the draft, is the playoffs. Now, clearly, the Spurs were going for it this season with De'Aaron Fox, but this now opens up a spot for one other team. The Suns are on the outside looking in today. If they somehow miss the playoffs, Kevin Durant is 100% gone. So this is just one less team for Phoenix to have to worry about. Now it is basically down to the Kings, Warriors, and Suns for that last play-in spot. The Warriors are obviously much better with Jimmy Butler, and we'll see if the Kings can hang on with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis. But what about Cooper Flag? Because that's where everyone's mind went immediately. I mean, if you look on the internet, there are people everywhere dreaming of Flag plus Wemby. Why? Because Cooper plays NBA level defense already. Do you know what that would be like to add to Victor Wembanyama? And on offense, Dude just became the first ACC player in 25 years with 500 points, 100 assists, and 40 blocks in a season. He just turned 18 years old. I mean, even in a deep draft class, Cooper is the no doubt #1 pick. And the last 2 times that San Antonio was in the mix for a no doubt #1, 1997 with Tim Duncan, 2023 Victor Wembanyama, both Spurs. But can it happen again? Well, Tankathon has the Spurs with a 3% chance at #1. But that was before this injury. Instead, let's look at DraftKings, who have updated their odds Spurs #1 from plus 2,200 to plus 1,500, which basically means a 4.4% chance to a 6.25% chance. Not great, but not impossible. So, to simulate the Spurs draft now, let's look at who has a 6% chance right now. That would be the Chicago Bulls. And let's run 10 simulations to see how often that 6% chance goes #1. First try, 8th pick. Next, number 10. Then jump up to number 4. Fall back to 9, back to 10, 9 again, up to 8, 8 again, down to 10, then boom, the number 3 pick. So if we put this in a chart, it's actually pretty ugly, okay? Most likely people, the Spurs are gonna pick 8th or 9th. Best case scenario is probably number 3, and it would take a miracle to land Cooper Flagg at #1. But it's happened before. I mean, last year, the Hawks had just a 3% chance and it hit. To get Zion, the Pelicans had a 6% chance. So yes, it could happen, but it's so far from realistic. I mean, these Spurs are way too good to tank. All of these people acting like their season is just over. It's actually not. In their first game without Victor Wembanyama, they beat the Suns. De'Aaron Fox and Chris Paul alone are going to win them several games. Even if they lost every single game from here on out, they literally cannot catch the Jazz, who have 19 wins. So if not Cooper Flagg, then who? Well, the top 3 outside of Cooper are Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and VJ Edgecombe. But Dylan is a 6'6", 19-year-old guard, son of NBA champ Ron Harper. He is killing it in his first season at Rutgers right now. As a guard, he is a very good shot creator, clutch for when CP3 retires. He's got great footwork and super skilled passing, finishing in the pick and roll, which doesn't quite make him the best fit with De'Aaron Fox because he's already got that covered. So what about Ace Bailey? Well, he's a 6'10" guard forward, also at Rutgers. What sets him apart is making tough jumpers despite being 6'10". Would be great working off Fox and Wemby, but he lacks defense, shot selection, and handles. So next up is VJ Edgecombe, a 6'5" shooting guard out of Baylor. He is a super unselfish player and a dog on defense. So what about the guys outside of that top 4? Well, the Spurs are most likely going to pick from 7 to 9. And if we're talking best fit, the best is Con Kneppel, a 6'7" forward, to play next to Wemby in the front court. Yes, he is not the best defender or rebounder, but he is a dead-eye shooter. Made 6 threes in a college game. Gatorade Player of the Year in Wisconsin, led his high school to 30-0 in a state title. So this is a deep draft. It's not all about Cooper Flagg. The Spurs are almost guaranteed to add another beast with Wemby when he gets healthy. But there will be a lot of fallout for whoever misses the playoffs along with the Spurs. We already talked about the Kevin Durant situation, but there is Giannis now with Bobby Portis missing all this time, and one name has just popped up I was legit shocked to hear in trade rumors.